Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Onenote training for this morning. My name's Dave Taylor. I'm from eServices in Wolverhampton. As you can see just on the screen, there's a couple of Twitter handles. If you want to follow either myself or the eServices team on Twitter, please do so. We will be posting a video of this event onto our YouTube channel later. So I'll pop a link onto Twitter when that's done. That'll either be later today or tomorrow morning. We'll make a start. So OneNote. Now, before we start with OneNote, what is OneNote? Well, essentially, it's the best lever arch file you can ever have. So if you can imagine when we were at college and university and we had these big lever arch files with the dividers in, which we kept all our notes in, it's one of those essentially, but electronically. And like I say, it's the best one you will ever have. There's a little bit of an issue with OneNote in that if I'm showing you how to use Word, I just show you how to change fonts and print and do bibliographies and that sort of thing. And how you use Word is kind of up to you. You could use it to write a report. You could use it to write your novel. One of the problems with OneNote is people are kind of, well, what do I use it for? So hopefully what we can do today is not only learn how to use OneNote, but what to use it for as well. And it's one of those things where when you do this, you just kind of have to dive into it really. OneNote isn't something you can just kind of just tap into. If you go for it and you dive in with both feet and go, let's give this a go, I promise you it will work for you. I've pretty much moved my entire personal and professional life onto OneNote now. But let's go through it and see what happens. Like I say, it's like a big lever arch file with the dividers in, but it's the best lever arch file you'll ever have. So first thing we have to be aware of is there are different versions of OneNote. So you'll see here I've got OneNote on my screen, and it may look different to what you have if you open OneNote. Essentially what's happened is very recently, in fact, it was March this year, Microsoft are kind of trying to force everyone to use a particular version of OneNote. This is because it provides consistency. So the idea is you don't just have OneNote on your laptop, you'd have it on your tablet and on your mobile phone, and whatever device you have, OneNote will be there. So first off, this newer version of OneNote looks very similar to the OneNote you would get on your phone or on your tablet. Also, the earlier versions of OneNote allowed you to save OneNotes, the actual files themselves, onto your laptop. And Microsoft is trying to push you all away from that. They want you to save your OneNotes onto your OneDrive. And for those that don't know, OneDrive is like, it's almost like, imagine it's a memory stick that you keep your files on. But instead of it being a memory stick you carry around, it's a memory stick on the internet. So it's in the cloud and it's all nice and safe and secure. And the great thing about having your OneNote in the cloud, and this is why Microsoft are forcing you down that route, is it's available on any device, anywhere. That's the secret of it. So let's kind of jump into OneNote. Here's the latest version of OneNote. And like I say, this will probably look a bit stripped down if you're using OneNote 2016, which we've got installed on some of the school laptops, or if you've got an older version, say 2010 or 2013 at home. You can see we've got the ribbons along the top as we normally do. It's, like I say, it's a very stripped down interface, but it still works in much the same way. This is what they call OneNote for desktop for Windows 10. If you install Office 365 on your machine now, this will come down. If you need this and you haven't got it, if you open the Windows Store in Windows 10, and just type in OneNote, this is the app that you'll download from the Windows Store. So I've got a notebook here. Essentially, when I click on the notebooks at the top, so as you can see, I've got all my notebooks will be there. I can have numerous notebooks open, so that's like you're carrying around numerous of those lever arch files. So I've got one notebook there, and then you'll see that I've got it broken down into what they call sections. So I've got meetings, information, and quick notes. Don't worry about the bottom two yet. And then we've got pages. So your sections are like your dividers in your lever arch file, and then you've got the individual pages. First thing to be aware of is your page is endless. So don't feel that once you've kind of filled in this little block here on the screen that you have to have a new page. It will just keep going and going and going as much as you need it to. And that's essentially how it's broken down. So it's broken down notebook into sections, into pages, and the pages are endless. As you can see, we can add sections and add pages there. And essentially, I'll come in, we're in the meeting section. We'll say we're having a new meeting, and I'm just going to add a page. Your seat comes in immediately there, and it says Untitled. You don't have to change the title there. You change it at the top here. So all I'd put in there would be team meeting. What's the date today? It's the 14th of May. Oops, 2012. Press enter and we're ready to go. So OneNote, how does this work? Well, essentially, I can click in there and I can just start typing away. Yeah, just click and just type. You'll see it's gone into a box. Now, if I keep typing, you will find that in a second or so it will move to another line. There we go. That was good timing, wasn't it? So you'll see there, as I've typed, it's made that box wider. You'll also see at the top there that I've got a little two little arrows in the top right of that box, so I can actually drag that and make it smaller or bigger if I wanted to. You don't increase the size, you don't make it taller. It will just grow as you need to add things. What you can also do is drag the top of that and move it round. So first thing, well, okay, we can make notes. How does this differ from Word or Notepad? Partly it's how it works. It's the fact that also it's available on every device. So let's go through a couple of uses for this thing. Teachers, and I'm particularly shouting out to teachers at the moment. I know some of you use the Post-it note app on Windows, and there's lots of Post-it notes on your desktop. And what will occasionally happen, and I know there's going to be someone who's watching this now who's saying, he's talking about me. Yes, I am. I'm talking about you. There's one particular member of staff who loses the Post-it notes. This is because the Post-it note app is a little bit strange. The newer version's better. The older versions in Windows 10 were atrocious, and where it actually saved the Post-it notes was very odd. And teachers were forever losing the Post-it notes. If you use those Post-it notes on the desktop at all, move to OneDrive. So you could start putting your Post-it notes onto a page in OneDrive, or onto a series of pages in OneDrive, in OneNote, sorry, if you wanted to. Please, if nothing else, move away from the Post-it notes and move on to OneNote. So as you can see, I could just kind of type and type away. The other thing is, if you've ever used things like Evernote, you can move your Evernote to OneNote, and it's a very similar thing to Evernote. But as you can see, I've got here team meeting, and you'll start seeing where some real power comes into this. So I can just type and I can make my meeting notes or whatever. So I've just copied in some basic things here which are dragged offline. So this would be your kind of example meeting notes. So you'd list who was present, who was absent, and this kind of could become your minutes, for instance. It could become a way of generating a to-do list, for instance, those sorts of things. But there's a bit more we can do. So we've typed this information and we've got these different meetings and we've got these different pages. But what we need to remember is it's available on any device. So let's say, for instance, we'd got this on our iPad and we were at the meeting and someone was doing a PowerPoint presentation. Well, on the iPad, when you go to insert, one of the options will be camera, because obviously your iPad or your mobile phone has a camera. And if you wanted to make a note of what was on the PowerPoint presentation, and we see this every time we go to events, a PowerPoint slide will come up and people will start writing very quickly to get all the details down that's on the PowerPoint slide. But if you're using OneNote, you just lift up your iPad or your mobile phone and you take a photo of the screen and the photo will appear in the OneNote. And then when you go on your laptop and boot it up, the notes you've taken on your iPad and the photos you've taken on your iPad are on your laptop. So straight away, you're seeing that you're able to share this information between devices instantly because it's all saved in the cloud on your OneDrive. This should now start making you go, this is a bit more powerful now. The other things we can do. So as I say, at the moment, we're just talking about inserting some text and taking some photos when we're out and about. With a section, get it right. With a notebook, I can share it. So what I can do is actually share a notebook with other people. So for instance, if I shared a notebook with my meeting notes in, all of a sudden, everything that I take is available to everyone that I'm sharing the notebook with. And all of a sudden, that should start making you go, oh, hang on, this is a way of speeding things up. You may have someone who takes notes to develop minutes of a meeting, for instance. You then get other people who take their own little notes. But then all of a sudden you realise that, hang on, as a team, we can all share a OneNote. We can all put the information in and everyone's got access to everything and knows what's going on. And all of a sudden things start making sense. OneNote also integrates very well with Teams, so it all builds into Teams as well. I'm aware I'm kind of like just jumping around a little bit here. It's because we've got this issue of how do we use this as well as what do we use it for? So yeah, hopefully this is kind of helping to unmuddy the waters somewhat. So we've got notebooks, we've got sections, we've got pages. We can share notebooks with other people and with our colleagues. We can put text in there. We can put photos in there, those sort of things. It's cross-device. We can have it on any device. Let's start going through some other things we can do. So just a standard OneNote. So we'll go to our little team meeting notes, for instance. Someone may reference a website. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring up the BBC. I'm just doing this on my other screen because obviously there's a lot of horrible news around at the moment and I don't want to put something horrible up on the screen. I want to put something nice. So there you go. There's something from the news round and I'll just bring that in. So what we have here is a website. So we may decide that what we want to do is copy some text off that website, for instance. So what I might do is highlight the text, and I can right click and copy, or I can press Control and C. I can then go to my OneNote and I can press Control and V for paste, or I can right click and go to paste. And it copies the text in from the website. It also, and this comes in so useful, provides you with a citation of where it got that text from. Does that automatically for you. This is so useful. For us as kind of techies, you can imagine we're dragging notes in off websites about different problems, and you just forget that that's in there, and then you'll read something in your notes later and think, oh, where did I find that? Oh, thankfully it's still got the URL. So you can, anything that you copy from a web page, it copies the website link in there as well. We'll go back to the website. Because of the way OneNote works, in fact, we'll come back to that in a second. I could just take the kind of URL if I wanted to and copy it, but the fact that it just, when you copy any text or any image from a website, it takes it over for you is superb. The other thing I can do is I can print the screen. So I don't know if you know this, but if you look at your keyboard, it's usually roundabout by the F12 button. There's a key that's usually labeled PRT-SCR, which stands for print screen. If I press print screen, what it does is it takes an image of the screen as it is at that moment in time, and it puts it into the clipboard. So this is, the clipboard is where you copy and paste things from. So if I now go to OneNote and I paste, I will get, there you go, there's the screen that I had, and it pastes it in as an image. I'm going to leave that there. We're going to come back to it because it does something magical to images in a bit, but we'll see. One of the things you have to do with OneNote as well is sign in. Now, it usually signs you in automatically. If it doesn't, you can see at the top there, it's just got the kind of school staff account that I've got, that I'm using for this. It will either say sign in at the top, but usually it signs you in automatically. Now, what it does is this sign in is kind of integrated within Windows. And because I've had to use a different account to do this today, I can't show you properly the way it works. But I kind of did a demonstration of it. One of the things you can do with websites, if you use Google Chrome, Firefox, or Edge as your web browser, you may know that you can download plugins and add-ons for those browsers. So you'll see I've got a few there. I've got Ghostery and Privacy Badger, and I've got LastPass, which is my password manager. And I've also got one there for OneNote. This is what they call the OneNote Clipper. So if you go to your favorite search engine and just type in OneNote Clipper for Firefox, for Chrome, for Edge, it should give you the link to the store. You can download it for free and just see, oh yes, I've actually got this set up correctly. I've got it set up with the right account. You log in with the same account that you're logged in on OneNote as, and if I find a web page I like, I can clip it. So all I have to do is click on the OneNote Clipper, and you'll see I can take the full page. Usually takes a few seconds to build the thumbnail for that. I can take, I can take a region, and what it will do there is everything will go grey, and I can draw a box, and it will clip that region. I can clip the article, so it just takes the interesting, the text and the interesting images, the ones that work within the article, and strips out everything else. Or you could just do a bookmark. So as you can see, it's literally a link to the website with a little bit of a description. And then I can pick my location. So I can pick my notebook, my sections, And then what it does when you clip it, and I'll just go back to the OneNote. When you clip it, you'll see the full page. It actually does the full page. The region, so I just drew a little box around that section. The article, so as you can see, it's just the article, none of the kind of gubbins and faff that's around it. And then just the bookmark is just the bookmark. And it just creates it as a new page in that section for me. So again, it's linked to it. It's telling me where it's from, and it's a very, very quick way when you find something on a website. If you've got that OneNote Clipper installed as a browser extension, you just click on the clipper and do whichever one that you want, and you know it's there. It's not only saved, it's available on all your devices as a tool for gathering resources. It's invaluable. So yes, if you can, install that OneNote Clipper extension. But if you don't, like I say, you can just copy and paste text or images, or do the print screen and copy the whole thing across if you wanted to as well. Other things we can do. So as you can see, on the home tab, you'll get your basic fonts, sizes, bolds, italics, underlines, those sort of thing. When you've got this stripped down interface, you'll see these little down arrows. It just gives you extra options. It's just because there's not enough room on the page to see them all. Just get rid of, go away, presenting bar. Thank you. Excuse me. A couple of other things we've got. So we're at an event and someone puts something on the PowerPoint slide, which we want to take. We can just whip our phone out, whip our iPad out and take a photo of it and go straight into the OneNote. Another thing you can do, and this is quite clever. If we go to the Insert tab, I can click on Audio, and what it will do is it will start recording audio. So you can see there it's recording exactly what I'm saying. I can stop it, and that audio file is now within OneNote. And if I hit play, I'm not sure if that's picking up on the microphone, but it is playing out of my other screen. So yeah, if you're in a meeting and with everyone's permission, of course, you wanted to record that meeting, simply set the recording, and it just goes into OneNote. And like I say, if you're sharing that OneNote, everyone has access to it. There's a little note that's come through, so I just want to make sure I'm covering everything. Yes, that's fine. Right. The other thing is, if we go to Insert, if we go to Home, I've got this Dictate button. So when I click in, it usually takes a couple of seconds to kick in, but there you go. As you can see, what I'm saying is appearing on the screen as words. And even though I have a thick Black Country accent, it's doing quite a good job at transcribing it for us. So as you can see, it just takes a little bit to kick in, but that's done not a bad job of transcribing what I was saying. So again, if you need to take notes, you've got those two options of, well, I can just do a recording of the event, or I can just click the Dictate, and anything that it hears, it will try and write out as text. Now we've got a few things on the screen. We can see that we can just start moving things around, put things over the top of other things, reorder, resize, those sort of things. Not only are the pages endless going up and down, they're also endless going right and left, so you can kind of drag things over there if you want. This is really useful on the iPad in that you can just kind of drag it with your finger and move around. So yes, let me just have a drink of water. For those that are keeping up with my hay fever symptoms, yes, I'm still suffering from hay fever. Yes, the trees over the road from my house are trying to suffocate me, but we'll get through it. We'll be okay. I'll try not to cough on the microphone. Excuse me. So, carrying on. So we can add pictures. We can add images from websites, those sort of things. We can add text. We can add audio. You can also see here we've got pictures and online video. If I click pictures, gain option, there's my camera one. Like I said, that's more prominent on the iPads and mobile phones. I can go from a file, so if there's something I want to upload that's I've got on the laptop at the moment, I can, or I can go online, and what it does is it actually opens up Bing Images. We spoke about Bing Images in the Forms video last week. Bing Images is quite good because one of the things it does that Google Images doesn't do, and I know a lot of people use Google Images, but one of the things Bing Images does that Google Images doesn't do is Bing Images tells you the license. So you actually get the option to download Creative Commons licensed images, so you can use them in your lessons and in your meetings. So it's actually well worth using Bing Images, to be fair. And I can also add online video, so that is literally I'll just paste the URL of the video in. I can paste the URL of a video from my OneDrive if I wanted to, or you could put a YouTube video in, those sort of things, and they'll just be in the OneNote for you. Obviously, I can highlight a bit of text and make it a link to a website, so I can link to websites, those sort of things. Let me just get that closed down. Now let's start getting a bit more intensive with this. I can also insert a file. Now, we have to be careful when we're doing this. There's a couple of ways we work. We can go to File, and it will, as you can see, open the file box and insert it. What you can also do is if you've got, I'll just open a Explorer window, make that a bit smaller, go somewhere where I've got something that's not that important. 1 second, I'm just doing this on another screen. So there's the little presentation that we've got today that's running in the background. I can drag that straight onto the OneNote, and it will give me these options. Do I want to upload it to my OneDrive and insert a link? Do I want to insert it as an attachment, or do I want to insert as a printout? So a printout, it will literally look like you've printed the document out and you've stuck the printout on the pages in your LibreArch file. It actually turns it into a PDF first as well. Inserting it as an attachment means it will take a copy of that file as it is at the moment, and it will put it into the OneNote. And then if people access that one, so if you've got a lot of people accessing that OneNote, when they double click that file, it will be that version of the file, and if they make any changes, they will change that version of the file. So if you have an original version of it, that's obviously untouched. Alternatively, you can just upload it to your OneDrive and insert a link to it. Now, I can't tell you which is the right one to do and which is the wrong one to do, because every situation is different. But what this does, of course, as you can see, is it uploads it to your OneDrive, puts a link in, and then anyone who looks at it or anyone who edits it, edits that copy that's on your OneDrive. So an attachment kind of wraps it up in a bow and puts it within the OneNote, and uploading it to OneDrive, uploads it to OneDrive and just inserts a link. One thing to be aware of, obviously, is if you're doing things like videos or very high quality photos, your OneNote will get very big very quickly if you insert as attachment. So if you're doing big files, you're probably better off uploading to OneDrive and inserting a link rather than inserting as an attachment. But like I say, it's difficult. Every situation's unique. There's the printout option, as well as being able to go to file and insert a printout. We can do a printout from there. Just have another drink. We also have meeting details. Now, again, like I say, when you sign into OneNote, when you run it for the first time and it asks you to sign in, it kind of embeds itself within Windows. So I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you open Word, for instance, you may see that at the top right it says sign in, and you should sign in. Actually, it gives you access to your OneDrive and everything links together a bit better. Once you've signed in on Word, you don't have to sign in on Excel, for instance. It kind of knows that it's all connected, and this is similar. Because of the account I've had to sign in to do this demonstration, I can't show it properly, but we have meeting details. What this will do is link to your Outlook calendar. So let's say you have a meeting in your calendar. You can click on meeting details and you can attach the OneNote to the meeting. So therefore, what ends up happening is you invite someone to a meeting in Outlook, and then all the notes for that meeting, all the minutes for that meeting, any recordings you make, they all go into OneNote and everything connects together. So you can look at the meeting in Outlook, and when you click on the minutes, for instance, it will take you to the OneNote with the minutes in. So it all kind of links together. It becomes incredibly powerful. It's one of those things, some people don't bother using it, some people do, but it's there. And if you are someone who has to take minutes, who has to be in a lot of meetings, these sort of things, the way they kind of link together and they kind of mesh like a DNA strand, it's wonderful. It just saves you so much time. The other options we've got, symbol is just the sort of commonly used symbols. Equation and maths, I'm not going to go into massive detail about. My strength is writing and not maths. What I know you can do is type in equations and it will put them into OneNote. I'll show you in a second how you can draw, but what you can actually do as well is handwrite maths equations, and it will convert them into the formula, and you can plot graphs and that with the maths bit. And then of course you've got the stickers, which, you know, we've all got to have a bit of fun, haven't we? On the end, you've also got forms. So this links into your forms account. So any forms that you've got created are there, and you can build links straight into the forms from OneNote. Researcher is something that you'll be seeing a bit more of in Microsoft products as well. Essentially, if you're researching something, which, let's be honest, OneNote is great for taking notes, you can just type in what you're searching for. So they've given an example there, Marie Curie. And then what it will do is it will give you options. So there you go, we've got some relevant topics, we've got some top sources. I could click on that and straight away I can pop that into, so I can just kind of drag it across. There we go. Use the add button, and I can just pop that, and it goes straight into the OneNote. Wanted to use that one, I can just click on that, and it just pops in that reference to the OneNote. There we go. It's still got the equation bit in, but it was that bit that it's popped in. So yeah, that research is really powerful. That's kind of going across the Office platform as well. So you'll see Researcher within Word. And when you are researching topics, it's useful just to give it a look, see what it pops up with. So I'm just going to add another page. And we're going to look at the Draw tab. So again, this is very useful when you're on an iPad or on a mobile phone. I can just click on a pen and I can just draw on the screen. There's also a highlighter, so I can highlight. Obviously, it doesn't work very well on a laptop, and I'm actually much quicker typing than I am sort of handwriting with a mouse. Where this can be very useful, particularly with the highlighters, is being able to, for instance, highlight sections in pages that you need to be aware of, those sort of things. But that option is there. Like I say, it comes in very useful on the iPad, particularly if you've got the iPad Pro, or I think it's the 2017 version onwards or 2018 version onwards, which uses the pencil. And if you've got the iPad pencil, then the whole being able to handwrite on there, being able to annotate and highlight things really comes into its own. If you do handwrite on there as well, you can kind of right click on the box that it puts it round. And one of the options it then gives you is to convert that handwriting to text. So it will read your handwriting as well. So yes, those are all there. Like I say, they make a little bit more sense when you're on the iPad. And another one that makes more sense when you're on the iPad is you can put a ruler on. It kind of makes it a little bit big on the screen. If you've got a touch screen, you can kind of resize that and rotate it. And again, you've got the maths where you can handwrite a formula and pop it in. And then if you've used these in Smart Notebook, you can do the into shape. So you draw a triangle and it turns it into a triangle for you. Or you've got shapes that you can add if you wanted to. One thing that's worth pointing out here, which a lot of people don't realise is there and can be incredibly useful. As you can see, this is getting a little bit messy, this page. If I want to put something in, and this actually is another thing that OneNote's quite powerful for, which a normal notebook wouldn't let you do. I've made these notes, but I actually want to put something else between here and there. Now I can just kind of type in the box. As you can see, as I'm going down there, it's not moving things down, and things are going to start overlapping and all that stuff. On this Draw tab, I think it's also on the Home tab. It may be on the Home tab on another version. You've got this insert or remove extra space icon, and I can just drag that down. And as you can see, it just drags everything down. So rather than you having to select all these boxes and move things down if you need some extra space, just use that icon and it drags it down. It allows you to put things in. Like I say, that's something a normal notebook wouldn't allow you to do. We have different views. One other thing I want to bring up here is the Immersive Reader. What I'll do is I'll just take that text. In fact, I'll do it from that meeting page. If I click on Immersive Reader, you'll see this more and more in Office applications over time. It's something Microsoft are really pushing at the moment. So if I just click on Immersive Reader, you'll see this will pop up. Let me just change the settings. Take all these off because I've turned these on. I'll explain exactly what I'm doing in a second. You'll see that what it's done is we've gone to this screen where everything's a bit more spaced out. It's designed for people who've got visual impairments or dyslexia. So as you can see, it's much easier to read. I can hit the play button, and again, my microphone might not pick it up, but it is coming out on my other screen. So it is reading the text. I can also, if I click on the text preferences, I can change the size. I can increase the spacing or decrease the spacing. And I've got 3 dyslexic friendly fonts I can choose from. And also, some dyslexic people can only read things with certain coloured overlays, and it gives you the coloured overlays as well. So this Immersive Reader is superb. What you can also do is use it in teaching, because you can tick on there and it breaks it up into syllables, or you can get it to highlight nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, those sort of things. So we'll go back. So yes, that's the Immersive Reader. New window simply takes the note that you were seeing and opens it in a new window. That's literally because if you're copying from one page to another in a notebook, that just makes it a lot easier. I can zoom in, zoom to 100%, zoom to the width of the page, those sort of things. I can change the colours. I can put rule lines in if I wanted to, so it looks a bit more like a traditional page. That's entirely up to you. When you delete notes, so we'll get to deleting and moving things around in a second. Yes, you can look at your deleted notes there. I can translate. So again, these are things that you don't normally have when you have a normal notebook. If you're sharing this with people who are bilingual, if you're sharing this with, for instance, parents, and their home language isn't English, they can translate it into their preferred language. The accessibility is kind of tied to the Immersive Reader. This just goes through and checks what it would look like or what it would sound like for people who are using screen readers and those sort of things. So again, if you need that, it's there. Replay will just show you, it'll just replay how the page has been put together. So you can see how people have typed. It's not kind of, it shows every word, but it usually goes quarter pages. Most of this has just been all copied and pasted in. So it wouldn't really look, you just see things appear. And then when you've got multiple people working on it, what will happen is when they make a change, this box that goes around the item, you'll see their initials. So you can actually hide the initials, just let you know who made the last adjustment. If you're using Teams and you're using it with the class, you'll be aware of the class notebook. Yes, the class notebook all integrates into this. And what I can do is I can take this, I can distribute a section, or I can distribute a page to that particular notebook for the class. Okay. That's kind of the gist of it. Oh, and we also have table. I forgot about the table. That's obviously very easy. It's just the new table thing that they've brought into the latest versions of Office, where you can just pick how many columns and rows you want, and you can just kind of resize those as you want to as well. So that's kind of the mechanics of it. So let's go into a little bit more about using it. So as you can see, I've got one notebook here, but I may have several notebooks. I could have, say, a personal one and a work one. You'll see in this notebook, I've broken it down into some sections. So I've got meetings, sorry. Information, you'll see there's a little padlock there. and quick notes. So on that sort of OneNote web clipper that's in the web browser, I created this, and basically you can choose where you want the notes to be saved, and I said just save it into quick notes. So anything that I put in off the web clipper will go into there for me. Like I say, you can see we've got this padlock on this one called information. What I can do is if I right click on a section, you'll see I can delete it, I can rename it, I can move it, change the color, copy a link, pin this section to the start button, or password protection. Obviously, it will just give me the option to add the password. So I've password protected this section called information. I can go in and I'll just enter the password, and as you can see, I've got a few little things here. I've got a page there with my workplace information on, which is my payroll number and my NI number and my bank account number and my sort code. These are things that sometimes we need access to, but if we're sharing a notebook, we probably don't want everyone to have access to that. So what we can do is password protect sections. This is also useful that, let's say someone gets access to your OneDrive, they may open your OneNotes, but if you've password protected the sections with your very, very personal information in, unless they know that password, they can't get in. Now, the encryption behind this is very powerful, but, and this is always the caveat with these things, it's only as powerful as the password you use. So if you password protect a section and your password is password, it's not really worth anything, is it? So you need to make sure if you're going to password protect sections, it's a decent password. Do not forget the password. If you do, it's gone. You will not get access to it. No one can get access to it. The encryption on it is that good. So yes, this allows me to put some very, very sensitive information into the OneNote, pop it within a section which I can then password protect, and it's secure. It's got an extra layer of security to it. As you can see, when I right click, I can right click on any of the sections actually, and the password protection comes up, but I can lock all the protected sections. So as you can see, the little padlock's open at the moment. If you leave the computer for a little bit and you don't do anything for a while, it will lock the section. But if you wanted to be sure, you can just right click and lock all the sections or lock that particular section. There's a couple of little notes coming, so I just want to make sure we've got everything covered. Yeah, I can see that a couple of people put something in the Q&A, but Chris and Anton are already onto it, so that's fine. So yes, we've got these sections, and the sections go into pages. With these pages, I can drag them around to change the order. I can drag a page from one section to another if I wanted to, and then change the order. You can move the sections around as well if you wanted to. You'll see I've got these two things down the bottom. What you can also do is, if you right click in the space, I can do a new section, and I can do a new section group, and that's what these are. So I've done a group there, which is CPD, continuing professional development, if you're wondering. I've actually then done a subgroup within there. So I've done another section group, which is the Microsoft courses. So as you can see, what I've done here is I've said, okay, we all have to do these CPD courses. So what I've done is I've done a section for each course. So first aid course, and I could have all my notes there. Asbestos awareness course, I could have all my notes there. And then I've broken it down. So I've got the Microsoft courses. So there's the Azure fundamentals. I could have all the pages there, and there's one on Microsoft Teams. I could have all the pages there. All of a sudden, all my notes are in one place. This is really useful, particularly when we've got some of the mandatory courses that we have to do. Things like our first aid course, asbestos awareness, prevent, those sort of things. We have to do them regularly. Put them into OneNote. Keep them in your CPD, either your CPD notebook or your CPD section. And when you have to redo the course, your notes are still there and they're really available. You're not digging around in the attic for a folder that you used 12 months ago. It's just there. Obviously, I can't show you the OneNote I have. I actually have several notebooks. So like I say, if I click on the notebook there, I can go to more notebooks. I can add another notebook. When I add a notebook in this version of OneNote, it puts it straight onto my OneDrive for me. I haven't got to worry about where I put it. It just goes on my OneDrive and it's nice and safe. Like I say, I have a work notebook. I have a personal notebook. I have a CPD notebook. I have a notebook for each of my schools that I support. And then I can have them all open at the same time, and I can just go between them, and it's just like having this huge mound of LibreArch files. They're all in one place. The other thing I've done, again, it's about how do you use this. I know some people use something called bullet journals. So for instance, you could do, if you're into bullet journaling, for instance, you can do a bullet journal in OneNote rather than having to carry a notebook around with you. And then rather than having to keep handwriting things out, you've not only got the option to just be able to type something straight away onto your phone, onto your iPad, onto your laptop, but also take photos and even make audio recordings. And it all goes into your bullet journal. So as you can see there, this is one way. I'm not going to go into bullet journaling. If you're into that, you'll know what this is, but you'll see that you can have your index page. All I've done there is with the future log, where I've got the events and the birthdays. What you can do is when you right click, I can copy the link to the paragraph. That then copies a URL. So if I just show you very quickly, copies that in. And then all I needed to do was pop onto my index page, paste that. And then when I click on it, it takes me straight to my birthdays and anniversaries. Then you got the 2020 logs. This is, so all I've done there is a page for the month. Again, bullet journals, you'll recognize this. And then a page for the day. I'll show you in a second how I've assembled that. What I've done there is, as you can see, it's indented. If you right click on a page, you can make a sub page, and all it does is whatever is above it, it just slides it across and it becomes a sub page, and you can actually shrink those down as well. If you don't want it to be a sub page, you just promote the sub page by right clicking on it and it goes back. So yes, you've got pages and sub pages as well. Hopefully this is now all starting to come together. This is how a lot of people use OneNote. Is they use it first and foremost as a task manager. So easiest way of doing that is, as you can see, I've got some jobs that I need doing there, and I've got these little boxes next to them. The way I've got the boxes is if I click on the Home tab, you'll see we've got this bit here. These are tags. The default one is this to do. So if I just go back to one of my meetings, for instance, if this was a job that I needed to do, I could just click on that and it puts the box next to it. When I've done it, I can tick the box. If I click it again, it takes the tick away. People who do bullet journaling may know that you could go down here, tick those, and then for this one, you want to send it to the next day. What you can do as well, when you've got these tags, you'll see that we've got a few basic ones there. I can create a new tag. This will pop up. You'll see I've got there's some featured icons there, but when I look at all icons, you'll see there's a lot. There are some arrows. There we go. I can pick the arrow, tag name, move to next day. Like I say, anyone who does bullet journaling will know this one. And now I've got a move to next day tag. So I can click on there and just click move to next day, and it pops the arrow in for me. I can then copy that, put it onto the next days, and as you can see, it all starts coming together. So yeah, those tags are incredibly useful. When you're doing research, as you can see, you can mark things as important questions, remember for later, those sort of things. But these new tags, being able to create your own becomes really useful, because it then depends how you want to use it. I've seen people do their own version of a Cliff Notes in OneNote, and they'll do, for instance, 1984, and they'll put quotes in that they want to use. And then what they'll do is they'll actually have each character will have a tag, and they'll tag the character to the quote. And then, as you'll see in a second, we can do searching and things like that. So you can search on a tag, you can search on words and those sort of things. It becomes very powerful if you want to use it in that way. I want to pop to our where's our team meeting for that's today, and just see if this has done it yet. It hasn't, unfortunately. It might be available on one of the others. There we go. So this usually takes a little while, depending on server load, to pop up, and this isn't just valid for if you copy an image from the clipboard for a screenshot or whatever. This works in photographs, and it's a little bit spooky how well it works. It takes a while to pop up, first of all, because it has to do some AI. But what it is if you right click on an image, copy text from image, yes, it reads the text in the image and puts it into your clipboard. And in fact, it would be better to do that one. There we go. Copy text from image. And then if I paste there, you'll see it read the news round in that logo. Great exhibition at home, learn how to make your own inventions. It picked up that little clock symbol as a 0, but then got 12th of May 2020, last updated at. So you can see it's taken the text, read it in the image, and made it so that you can now copy it. Now, where this is really useful is when you take photos of PowerPoint slides at events, and sometimes you're at an angle to the screen and you think, it's never going to read the text on this, and it does such a wonderful job. It's amazing. But yeah, it doesn't always happen when you first click on the picture. It can sometimes take a while while the picture's been in OneNote before it's read all the text, and obviously depends on the complexity of it as well. But yeah, that's another option. So we've got our notebook. As you can see at the top, we've got share. So I can click on share, and this will share the notebook with other people. So I can just pop their email addresses in. Again, as we did when we looked at forms. And next week we're going to be doing Sway, and this is very, very important in Sway. Take a breath. When you share a OneNote, stop, take a breath. What are you doing? Anyone with the link can edit. So it's generating a link. So if I copy the link, you'll see it's just like one of those ones with lots of text on. I'll just paste it into there and you'll see what I mean. Yeah, so it's just like lots of kind of random letters and numbers. But what that is saying is anyone who has that link can edit this OneNote. Now, you have to be careful there, because even though you might send this to someone you trust, you don't know if the person you sent it to might send it on to someone else or might get hacked or that sort of thing. It's a bit, anyone with a link to can edit, you need to be careful with that one. I can tick on there and change it. I can untick the allow editing. So now it's just anyone with the link can view it, not edit it. I can set expiration dates, so I can pop a password in there, which can be really useful. Again, it's very well secured, but it's all dependent on how good your password is. Anyone within Cloud W, so any of those schools that we support, that if they've got the link, they can see it or edit it if you tick the box. The safest one, of course, is specific people. So you actually say, you have to put their email addresses in and say which people have access to edit it and look at it. People with existing access, this is just very useful if you've already shared this with someone and you either want to change what you've shared it to. So you, for instance, wanted to get rid of that, or if you just hit apply, it resends the email out. That's so useful that if someone's lost the link, you could just hit there, hit apply, and it just sends the email to them again. But yeah, by default, it's anyone with the link, so just be careful. You may want to change that to specific people. When you hit apply, it then gives you a chance to put in their email addresses. Other things we can do, we've got a notifications window. This just tells you when things have been used recently. That's very useful when you start sharing notebooks. You can see when other people have made adjustments to them, those sort of things. We've then got this box here, which is a search box. If you're stuck on what to do, so, you know, how do I create a new notebook? If I just start typing create, you'll see create a class notebook, create a custom tag. If you click on it, it will do that action for you. What you can also do with the search is you can search within. So if I type in exhibition, it's not done it yet, but you can usually search within the OneNote as well. It just sometimes just takes a little while to kind of catch up with itself. This icon can cause a little bit of stress and anxiety sometimes. As you can imagine, if you've got lots of notebooks open, you've got lots of devices, this is all online. If you're adding things like videos, pictures, you're doing lots of changes, what it needs to do is do whatever you've done and upload it to OneDrive. This is the sync status. So yes, the page is synced, it's fine. Sometimes you get crosses in there, sometimes you get triangles in there to say that there's a problem with the sync. Don't panic. Sometimes you just need to leave it for a bit and it will kind of catch up eventually. Sometimes, particularly if you're very, very quick, you may do something on your iPad and then look immediately at your laptop and go, well, I've just done it on my iPad, why hasn't it gone to my laptop? Because it hasn't synchronized yet. It runs a sync every couple of minutes, but if you wanted to, you can right click on the notebook and actually go to sync and synchronize it. So yeah, if you ever do things on one device and it's not on the other, it just hasn't synced properly, go to each device, make sure it's done the sync and it's okay. The thing about mobile devices, if you're using a phone particularly, you're on your data. When you put pictures in, and particularly if you added video, anything big, it won't upload those over your data. It will try and save your data for you. The moment you hit a Wi-Fi connection, it'll do a full sync. So if you ever find that you've moved between devices, it's more than likely down to the fact that something's not synced right, and particularly if you're using a mobile phone. And then finally, we can print. So we can just print the page if we wanted to. Although, why would you? You've got this accessible on every device. We've also got some settings. Here's some of your options. Obviously, synchronize your notebooks automatically. That's on by default, so you shouldn't have to change anything. This happens more in the apps on mobile devices. Sync all files and images. Again, if you're out and about, it's usually off because it's when you have metered connections and those sort of things. Choosing a notebook for quick notes. So that's where I've got the quick notes here. The quick notes is there's a few plugins you can have. Like I say, we've seen the one on the website, but if it ever refers to, it will put it in your quick notes. You can pick which notebook you want that all your quick notes will go into, but that is kind of starting to be phased out now. And then moving more to browser plugins and that sort of thing. You could put some tiles on the start menu if you wanted to. Legacy navigation panes. These are the new navigation panes. The legacy ones are, if you're on 2016, you'll see what I mean. They're just more fixed, and it just looks a bit more clunky, to be fair. You've got some options there as well, you know, your privacy statements, your help if you wanted to, accounts. These are any accounts that you've added to this app. This can be very useful. You may have your work account, so your name at nameofschool.co.uk. You may have your home account, so your name at hotmail.co.uk or at outlook.co.uk. And you may have your work notebook on your work and your home notebook on your home. You can actually add multiple accounts. So yes, you can have your own, your personal OneNote on your personal account and your work OneNote on your work account. You can add both accounts and see both notebooks. That works wonderfully. That is so useful. And then don't worry too much about the rest of it for now. So essentially, that's it. What we need to be aware of is how we use OneNote is very personal. I don't mean like privacy personal, but we'll all use it in slightly different ways. You may look at this and go, okay, I'm not going to use this at all. You may look at this and go, I can see this being used for one thing, but not others. It can be a difficult transition to make, this one. With Teams, we just kind of say, right, everyone's moving on to Teams. With OneNote, it's very difficult to say to people, start using OneNote, because you use it personally. You may share things with others, but you'll use most of it yourself. You've got to kind of decide to make that leap. It's well worth making that leap. It feels a bit weird when you start. The best thing you can do is decide, I'm going to use this as much as I possibly can, and I'm going to put it on all of my devices. So literally put it on all your devices. You may decide at home, actually, I can use this for my shopping list. All of a sudden, my shopping list becomes available. It means if all of a sudden I need something, I can just pop it on whatever device I've got in my hand. I can just pop it onto the shopping list there. A lot of people use Pinterest, for instance, to collect design ideas or inspiration. Again, this can replace Pinterest. I've already mentioned Evernote. If you use Firefox, you may use Pocket. Again, this can replace Pocket. If you're a teacher and you use those post-it notes on the desktop, please move the post-it notes onto OneNote. You won't look back once you've started. I promise you, you won't look back. How you use it is that's the difficult one with OneNote, and sometimes it can be difficult to see how you're going to use this. It's very easy to say if you're doing a course, you can put your course notes in. If you're doing your meetings, you can put your meeting notes in. But it becomes more than that. Those that know me will know that I'm creative outside of work. I do writing. Yes, I have a notebook that I carry, but that notebook is now moving on to OneNote. And every device I've got has got OneNote on. And if I want to make I've got a quick idea, I can put it in my OneNote. It becomes really useful on devices is that you've got a quick idea, you can actually hit the microphone icon and record yourself speaking the idea straight into OneNote. Much quicker than writing it down in any way. When you start sharing these things, this class notebook where we have the children using OneNote within teams, what some schools have done, and you need to judge whether this is right for you, is they've done their marking in OneNote. So they've marked the child's work in OneNote. Because OneNote's all integrated within Teams, they're using Teams, OneNote's within Teams, so they're not even leaving Teams. The child submits work, they go onto the child's OneNote within Teams, they hit the record button, and then they look through the child's work and just speak. And the child gets the audio recording of the teacher's feedback. That can feel weird when there's 30 kids in a classroom all kind of pressing play and listening to your voice. But the teachers that have made that jump have said that it's cut their marking down dramatically. And they're getting a lot more back from the kids. The kids are engaging with the marking more. So if they'd have written all this text down, it would have took them ages. But they can sit there and talk for like a minute about this work, and the kids engage with it. There are so many options. It's almost like it's so big, you can't see the wood for the trees. But I promise you, if you make that jump, it really is worth it. That's as far as I wanted to go today. So thank you for listening. I hope you found that useful. I hope you're going to use OneNote. I promise you, it feels a bit weird, but once you've made that jump, you will not look back. It saves you so much time and effort. And I've become so much more productive using OneNote than any other form of note taking. And I've tried bullet journaling and Pomodoro techniques and all that sort of thing. And this just works so much better than any of them. And everything is there. It's always at my fingertips, and that's what I find so useful about it. So please, if you can, make that jump. Just move the PowerPoints on. So yes, we're ended. Thank you so much for joining us. There are the Twitter handles on the screen. Please follow us on Twitter if you are on there. Like I say, there will be a recording of this event will pop up on our YouTube channel either this afternoon or tomorrow morning. It's as soon as I can kind of get it all done. We're also doing another event next Tuesday at 10 o'clock, which is about Microsoft Sway. please, if just please come along to that, because Sway is brilliant. And you and the children will get so much out of using it, and it can save schools so much time and money. It's brilliant. We've also got some videos on Sway on our YouTube page, and we've also got some videos on OneNote on our YouTube page as well. Any questions? Obviously, this isn't a kind of I'm running away and hiding. Please hit me up on Twitter, email me, message me on Teams. If you've got any issues, give me a shout and I'll do my best to help you out. We'll be kind of on the Q&A for the next 15 minutes or so. So yeah, if you've got any questions, please pop them onto the Q&A on here. I can see that some of you have already done that, and Chris and Anton have done a wonderful job in answering those. Thank you, guys. And fingers crossed, I will see you all next Tuesday for Sway. Stay safe, everybody. Hope you're all doing okay. It's weird times, but we will get through this, I promise you. And we'll all be back out there in schools shortly, and it'll all be back to normal, and we'll have forgotten this has ever happened. No, we won't. It's going to stay with us, but we will get through this. I promise you, we will get through this. Keep being awesome, everybody, and if I don't see you before, I will see you next Tuesday. Take care.